You're listening to Kelly and Steve, and this is Coupled with Chaos.
90 Day Fiancé, Season 10, Episode 16, With This Ring, I Thee Wed. We had a wedding. I guess that was a wedding, right?
I guess.
There was no ring.
Yeah.
That's not the way that went.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I find it a little odd that it's so easy to convert. It almost makes it seem like it's not a thing.
Right.
There was no real big profession of faith.
No research of intent or conviction or, it's not like, don't Catholics have to go through catechism classes
you've got a
first?
whole thing.
Yeah,
I think even
it's a whole
marriage
thing.
for them, you go through like a class.
Right. You have to have the premarital counseling.
Yeah. But how about us? Look at us. It is, for us locally, it's 9:30.
Yeah.
And so there is a chance that I could be in bed by midnight.
Wow.
That's entirely possible for a Sunday night.
That's something else for a Sunday.
Yeah, I guess so. So you've, going through surgery and rehab and exercises and all this, and we even watched the show.
Yeah.
We're on a roll.
Together.
Something bad's going to happen,
Don't
say
that.
Here's what happens when we're ahead of schedule. It's always, then you think you're ahead of schedule.
Well, I hear Lily pacing around, so
Until
maybe
you're
she'll
not.
leave you some prizes in the middle of
I'll
us
definitely
recording.
have a 10-minute surprise to clean up.
It sounds like it.
So I guess we're going to have that. But it's good. Maybe back a little bit to the grind. This felt like a bit more of a normal Sunday. So I guess we started with Sam and Citra. They're at least planning this wedding themselves.
Right.
I mean, it's not a big deal.
Explains why he has no one to officiate.
Well, here's the deal. And the preview kind of opened the door.
I bet he had a priest.
And you said this while they were getting married. Why have the other ceremony?
Yeah, I said, why would any of them want or allow that if they're Muslim? Why would they want an American wedding?
Well, if it's just a family thing, then it isn't a problem.
You said as long as it's not like a Christian marriage.
And it turns out to be what happens.
That's exactly what comes up. Yeah.
So
he must have had a priest lined up, probably from Mom's church.
I would think.
And now he's like, oh crap, can't use that person. We're getting married in an hour. Who can I call?
He doesn't think about this.
Ghostbusters.
Well, I mean, really, this is a part of the conversion.
Right.
That if you went through something, then it would tell you that this is probably frowned upon.
Right.
It just leads me to they're not really all that strict. Although Dad said this can't be a priest.
Right. He's strict.
I don't think so. Because, if I think he's strict, then I can't think he consents to this. How strict is he?
Well, I mean, I don't think, it's like you said, he doesn't really have a choice because he could lose his daughter and she could drift away from the faith.
Really,
right?
You look at it, he puts his foot down and loses her forever.
Yeah. And maybe she ends up losing her faith. And, as a parent, you're charged with guiding your children the way they should go. And so
this is the best course
of action. Right, this is the way to maintain some level of direction in her life.
Get Sam to convert.
Make sure she stays on track, right.
And then at least it's probably the best he could hope for in this scenario.
In the circumstances, right.
When all things considered, he really couldn't have stopped them.
Right, and he realizes that.
Citra would have had to have been the one to put the brakes on this if he didn't agree.
Right.
And he doesn't think she would.
Right, because she told him she would.
Right.
He asked her.
So many words. I thought we see the sisters again. Boy, the one sister isn't the most energetic. The one not in the hijab, right?
Yeah, the one laying on her
Yeah,
arm.
I think, like I said, I think she got into Sam's stash. Whatever he's got, some muscle relaxer she may have found, but she just doesn't seem like she can. Maybe the time change has really messed with
Yeah,
her.
I'm sure. It was a long flight, so she's probably not
Probably
gotten
didn't
over the
want to
jet lag
go.
yet.
I'm assuming it's the other one that is engaged to
Oh, you
Sam's
think?
sister.
Mm.
I don't think it's Miss Energy over there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure she could wow anybody.
Maybe somebody needs to
Well, what do we know?
drum up
I mean,
one of those Bolt sodas from
I
the
don't
90s.
I don't
Remember
think
those?
she's so old. I mean, why would somebody, this is my impression, and maybe I have this wrong, but why would she not be dressed in full garb?
Under 12.
Well, I thought it was puberty. I thought when that
Well, that's
happens,
generally when that happens.
but she looked older than 12.
Yeah.
She looked old enough.
Well, I can tell you that my aunt didn't have her first cycle until she was 19.
I don't know what kind of podcast this is anymore.
And she had to get medication to have it then. How about that?
States aunt or in England?
In England.
Mm.
My favorite aunt.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm. The well, I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that. I'm not sure what kind of podcast this is anymore. I'm
Just
glad.
saying, you could be older and not have reached puberty.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know these things, right? I don't have this. I know that. Look, there was a big deal. You saw her the other sister get upset when he came out and touched her after getting washed.
Yes. Back to the, what was it? Wuju or something?
Well, why not? I mean, they didn't make him go back. Because really, you should have then. Or maybe
Yes.
because, but
He
they
wasn't
didn't.
converted yet.
Right. It's these kind of things I think you got to teach people.
Uh-huh.
Touch a woman and you have to go wash again.
Because now you're unclean.
This means showering with one. How does that? What if you're cleaning? What if you're cleaning in the process of cleaning and you're together?
There's nothing sensual about the wuju.
Right. But it's
no
different.
women present for that. Yeah.
Okay. That's probably not allowed.
No.
Is that in the rules? Because if I would have known, I would not have done that.
Yeah.
That's a Costanza.
Uh-huh.
When he slept with a cleaning woman on the desk. Is that frowned upon? I thought everybody was doing that. Because the place I worked before, we did it everywhere. If I would have known, I would not have done that. You know, for me, Sam never talks about, even in that thing, he never talks about his beliefs. He never talks about...
That's what I said. There's no, confession of faith. Like, he just repeated something in a language he didn't even understand, which doesn't seem right to me either.
Maybe you have to tithe then, and so that's their interest. You know, you owe me 10% at this point, and so you got to do this. So repeat after me, and then here's our Venmo. Here we go.
Oh, stop. You're so mean.
The next wedding, though, so you think it's just for mom or the whole family or...
Well, it's for him, too, because, he's American. Just because he converted.
America. Say what I want and do what I want.
You know, he's still sitting there on camera cussing like a sailor.
Yes, that is true. This is after the wedding.
Yeah.
They're dropping F-bombs like crazy.
Right. I'm like, what the heck? I was startled. Like, hey, he's not supposed to be saying that.
I think it was like... You were
and then
watching,
she did it.
You were watching some twins thing on Netflix, right? And they were talking about they were afraid. They took two twins or multiple sets of twins, and they fed them one a vegan diet and one
meat.
One meat diet for 8 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And so they were afraid that the people would cheat, and so that was it. So
that one would lead the other into straying off the plan.
That's what we're going to have here. Sam and Citra, I'm not sure they're going to be following everything when it comes to when all is said and done.
I'm just not far from Dad.
Yeah,
in America.
Once Dad's gone.
Yeah.
Unless Dad is the one that hooks sister up with the brother.
Yeah, maybe as a live-in family spy or
Yes.
something. Yeah,
right.
keep an eye on them.
Undercover
Right.
spy is what it is.
Yeah.
I was glad that the dad came, and I thought what he said was impressive and supportive, and
Mm-hmm.
I think encouraging. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that was really good. So
Yeah.
I was impressed. At least glad that he had somebody there. You know.
Right.
So. So that was good. But now they're going to have another wedding. So
Yes.
he's excited about the bang bang part.
Yeah.
Or is this boom boom?
No, she said bang bang.
Bang bang or boom boom, I get wrong.
Boom boom is Thailand.
Yeah. I just can't believe Dad
Indonesia
is
bang
going
bang.
for this. So
Yeah.
the big deal this week, I think, is Clayton. You seemed not only visually but audibly upset with Clayton and his reaction to this.
I'm over him. This guy, he's got to go. She should go with her gut and leave and never look back.
I mean, she couldn't be any worse off. She didn't tell the family.
Right.
So there's that.
And secretly, I think that's why she didn't tell the family. So she still had an out because she wasn't sure.
I think.
Because she's not in love with this guy.
No.
Who could be?
No. And really, he should be mad at Brandy.
Yes.
Because Annalie, I mean, what's her out?
She's not
here?
in control of things. She's along for the ride.
Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, look, she tried to downplay it. She did, and she laughed even when she told the police stripper immigration story. We get it, right? And we know that she's not trying. I think she would just like this to go away.
Right.
Brandy
That's
put
what she
her.
said. We have to not talk about this ever again.
I think she could have been
he can't do it.
a bit more, I don't want to say apologetic or something. She probably could have been the catalyst to this. I'm not sure it would have worked.
I mean, she did tell him. Maybe she'd been better off if she didn't, if this is how he's going to act.
Well, there's a tell-all coming. And so there's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think she probably downplayed it and said she tried to push him away. Hopefully there's some footage of that happening. Because it isn't...
Yeah, because she didn't say, oh, by the way, he's swanging his wanker in my face, and I taped it with my cell phone.
Right.
She didn't mention that part.
She didn't mention, getting slapped with his bits.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. So that's probably something. Or maybe she fell just short of that. Wherever it is.
Maybe. It's possible. She doesn't really remember all of it.
Would that have been a better... Now, we're not, as a couple, we're not going to encourage lying.
No.
But in this scenario, maybe some creative wordsmithing would have come in order. I don't recall everything about the evening.
Yeah, so I can't give you details.
Is a little better. Or it's getting lost in translation. Maybe you should talk to Brandy.
Uh-huh.
Clayton's like Rob here. He's just sulking.
Yes. I mean, they're not even married yet. I mean, just get on with life, all right?
I think what's the out here? Brandy says, this is what Brandy tells him to do. Go hug her, tell her you love her, and we can work through this. It's probably...
And he can't do that.
It's probably the right advice.
Uh-huh.
He's got to know, I guess, the details of what happened.
And that's not going to go well. It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I want the stripper at the tell-all.
Yeah, well, I want them to play the clips during the tell-all.
Well, I think they will.
And have him watch it. What do you think he's going to do?
Oh, he'll get so mad.
So mad.
I want the stripper to... You remember when Asuelu came and danced and did his fire stuff?
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
This is what I want. I want the stripper to come. And he could light the tip of his bit on fire.
Oh, my gosh.
And swing it.
With drape a towel over it.
Swing it around.
Isn't that what Asuelu did? He draped a towel over it.
I don't know. I don't know where that came from.
At the last resort. That's what he did when they got drunk around the
that's
fire.
right. So
He draped a towel over it and stood on the table and swung it in everybody's
I
face.
think he did something like that, didn't he? I was thinking about when he was in the studio, when they were doing
no, I'm talking about when he was literally doing what this guy was doing with a towel over it.
He was doing that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably not good. Yeah, I didn't see her pushing him away.
No. And she had the cell phone right in front of it.
Yeah, she could probably just pull out her phone and say, "This is what happened."
Yeah, this is what happened. Oh my gosh.
I mean, wouldn't that not be it? I mean,
that's what I was wondering. Like, what did she do with this footage?
Right. Well,
what was the point in recording it?
We saw the camera.
Live streaming?
And maybe that's it. He
live
maybe
streaming to your girlfriends at home?
Recording it for this dude's Cameo or OnlyFans is what it was doing. But Clayton says never again.
I would say, okay.
This is
no problem.
Well, I mean, kind of. I mean, I get it. And she probably doesn't want it to happen again. She seemed kind of embarrassed by the whole thing.
Yeah, and she said that when she asked for it, it was just because that's the American thing to do. She wasn't serious, but Brandy didn't know that.
Right, she saw Bachelor Party. You haven't, but everyone else in the world has. This is what happened. But Brandy's the one he should be mad at.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think Clayton has the whatever to go and confront Brandy about this.
Yeah, I think that, because she did so much for them planning the wedding, he can't ostracize her now or it won't all come together, right?
You know what he could do? No open bar. How about that, Brandy? No open bar at the wedding.
And then she won't show up.
Here's what I want. I want Brandy to show up to the wedding with the stripper.
And be plastered?
That would be best. That would be a good wedding. Right? That would be fun.
Now, we know what Primrose Path, the preview, wanted us to go down in regards to the wedding. Are you buying it?
No. Because we know they do this all the time.
Right.
I mean, this is just what they do, right? They're making us think the worst, and then everything works out great in the end.
Uh-huh.
Somehow
by some miracle, she shows up at the last minute.
It was like, you ever come on something, whatever it is, and you look at it and you go, well, you know what? That just doesn't look right. You don't know what it is. I have this thing, because I've done so many construction projects, I can go up to a building or like a kitchen or a light fixture, and I can go, that's crooked. And someone will go, no, it's not. And we put a tape measure on it or a laser, and they go, oh, it is off.
Uh-huh.
So when I saw Clayton hugging her, I went,
yeah, you go, this is cute.
Something
what is wrong with this?
It looks like he's wrestling, like when you're trying to get a bag of dog food out of the back of the van.
Yeah, and you asked me if it looked funny.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, his armpit is over her shoulder. That is a weird way to hug somebody.
He's not. It's not like he's that much taller than her.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like reaching up. If he was 6'4", then maybe there's no other way to hug her than from the top.
Uh-huh.
But
that was weird.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to hold her down and hug her at the same time. This is not a comforting position.
No, it was weird.
Yeah, I don't understand what he was doing.
I think he hasn't had the opportunity to hug very many people.
Right.
That's what I think.
And so he doesn't know how.
And he's new at it, so it's awkward.
Yeah.
Probably much like everything else he does in that department.
Well, he's getting in shape.
Imagine.
How about this exercise video at the beginning?
Oh, my gosh. Who thinks they can lose 10 pounds in a day by doing calisthenics in the driveway and breathing heavy?
He's Jack LaLanne out there.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what? He's going to be down in the basement with one of those motorized belts that go around your waist.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you
you
better
had in the
at
50s.
Least put on a trash bag. I mean, learn something from 1,000-Pound Sisters.
Right. Here's what you do. Yeah, you sweat off 10 pounds.
Right. That's your best bet, actually.
Right.
Water weight's the easiest thing to lose.
Yeah, and you'll
sweat it out.
You'll be dehydrated. He doesn't drink, so he doesn't have to worry about alcohol. So this will be good. He could just take this off. Be dehydrated.
And then down some water after the wedding, and he'd be all set.
This isn't like cramming for a physics test. I'm going to pull an all-nighter and lose these 10 pounds. It's ridiculous.
And why was he out of breath? He barely moved.
Well, we saw him running in the driveway.
That was like jogging in place. This does not make you out of breath.
It looked like he was probably running from a bee. That's
right.
What it was. He wasn't even running. I think
he barely got his feet off the ground.
To technically run, right? I think
you have to take a stride.
Where there's like rules to like speed walking, right?
Uh-huh.
The rule to speed walking is 1 foot must always stay on the ground at any time. So really, I'm not sure he was running.
Right.
And then he goes and does some...
The closest thing he did was jog.
He does some crunches and some push-ups.
Oh my gosh.
This is the most... One of... And I think it... Although it was like at the beginning and we got to see it, I think it was one of the funniest little scenes.
Yeah, we were cracking up.
Because I think the funniest one, and these are old... This is old school. To go back to watch Paul pack for his Brazil trip.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Because this is the best scene, I think, ever. That's clean, right? It's not a fight or anything. It's just a one-off. And Paul has got his stuff, and he's in this mosquito net, and he's got his backyard full.
Yeah. And he had his weenie sleeves for when he goes in the water.
Well, he didn't model those for us.
So that but he said they were in there. Yeah. So that the parasites wouldn't swim up his pee-pee, he said.
Right. This is great.
And he said his doctor gave him the list of stuff to pack. And I just remember my jaw dropping. I'm trying to picture somebody actually seriously giving him this list of stuff to pack.
So sorry.
He looks like an idiot
for saying this, but Paul's also from Kentucky. Now, we've established that not everyone from Kentucky fits into the because David's from Kentucky, right? David,
it's much like the way that every Michigan person that's ever been on the show has been given a bad rap, but we've established that, you're the exception.
Right. It's not just me. There are others.
Right.
I think it's just this area of Michigan. Right. I think that's the issue.
Well, now you know somebody in that town.
I do know somebody in that town that isn't Gino. I do know that. And I think, look, Jasmine kind of badmouths Michigan a little bit. And I felt myself get a little defensive.
Did you now?
Well, I get it. I think being from that area, from southeast Michigan, we can kind of talk about it. But Michigan is so much more than that area, right? I think that area is just kind of what it is, right? But once you get north of there, Michigan's it is just a wonderful place. It is. It's mostly rural, tons of lakes, tons of cabins. If it wasn't, like she said, so flippin' cold, it would be a problem. It does get a little cold up there.
I know nothing of Michigan, but your little town.
Yeah, I know.
I could pass.
I don't like your tone.
I'm just saying.
Right.
It's a little boring.
So it's still what small town is.
Well, now I like small towns. You
didn't like that one.
I loved Front Royal. Did not think too much of your little town.
Yeah, but I don't think you got to spend the right kind of time there.
I was gasping for air in a house full of smoke that I was allergic to.
It didn't help.
That was part of the problem.
It doesn't
And
help.
it was very humid and hot with no air conditioning, and I couldn't breathe through my nose. So maybe that was part of it.
It is a little humid there. It is a little smoky. We do like our cigarettes. But in the bowling alleys now, you can't smoke, so maybe that's a safer place to go.
What the heck do they do?
You just drink.
Did your mom quit, or does she still smoke?
She doesn't. She doesn't smoke anymore. And anybody who smokes there goes outside. Here was we talked about speaking about Michigan. It was the Lions coach Dan Campbell. When talking about Michigan, he said, "Well, look, about the people there." He said, "The people there, it's cold. There's not a lot to do. So people like their sports. They work, and they drink." And this is what he said about Michigan. So, he left bowling out, But I think he was kind of pressed for time.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of pressed, I think if you squeezed Jasmine in any way, that those
Yeah.
things
Something would pop.
would
Have a
explode.
rupture of a boob. They look so hard, like melons. They can't be comfortable.
Wouldn't you think that? Wouldn't your skin hurt?
I would think.
I think you'd have to put something on it to make sure. I don't know, like your skin just didn't. Like when the balloons, like if you had a frozen balloon, and you peeled hit the outside of it, and it would kind of just peel back, and you'd be left with whatever's inside. This is what I think would happen to her skin.
I don't even know what size she would wear. When I was younger, before I had kids, I was a D cup, and to me,
Whoa,
that was
not this kind of
too big.
podcast.
No, it was too annoying. Like they were always in the way, and yeah, I'll pass. I'm all right with being a
Whatever
wee
you
little
are
person.
now, let's not get too descriptive about
Wee
our
little
anatomies.
person.
We're not
Yeah.
that kind of podcast.
Yeah, I said I'm a wee little person. 3 kids later.
But she looks bigger and bigger. It seems like, I don't know, like she's got like the old pump Nike shoes.
Right.
You
Yeah.
could pump them up.
Like
before you
an
did it.
erectile dysfunction
Whoa.
pump.
Where are we at?
They had that in what was it? The Asian show, the Crazy Rich Asian
Bling
thing,
Empire?
Bling Empire. Yes, remember that? That happened in one of the episodes. Somebody had
Wow.
one in their bathroom.
Wow.
They threw it out the window at a party.
That is super.
It embarrassed her. Yeah. This was the first time I learned about the existence of this.
These are like cantaloupes. I saw it on something. It could have been a Dr. Phil or something. I don't know what it was. Probably not. That's not his thing. Probably a Maury. It seems like more of a Maury show than a Dr. Phil show. Can you believe she wanted to have a black wedding dress? She had to be joking
What the
about that,
heck?
right?
No telling with her.
Right. I could see if you were going to get married at night, it was your second wedding, and you know what? You were going to do something different. Maybe.
Or you had to go to a funeral immediately after.
Ouch. You're on fire today.
I'm just
But this
saying.
one, right? I mean, so she
You
didn't
were
have
pressed for time. You had two events to attend.
I got a gown, a Met Gala, and a wedding all at the same time.
Yeah.
So we got to go from one to the other. Gino didn't have to worry about that. But she said she didn't have the wedding the first time that she wanted, and so now she does. So I mean, why does Gino have to pay?
Yeah.
So they go in with this budget. Let's explain what happened, because I think if you're going to maybe enter a career of sales, right?
Yeah, this irritated me.
Well, what irritated you?
Because I said straight up front what was going to happen, what the salesperson was going to do. They could tell that she was eager and was a want kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
They sized that up immediately. They sized him up that he was
Weak.
a penny
Doofus.
pincher. Yes. And that she could probably throw a tantrum and he would give in. So he wanted to spend $1,000. He was upfront about that before they ever even picked out dresses to try on. So if you were trying to please their budget, then they would have only shown her dresses within the price range, right?
You would think.
But their goal wasn't to please him,
Right.
or stay within his budget. The goal was to get her to fall in love with a more expensive dress and then let her convince him to buy it.
So
said that's what would happen.
If you're going to be in a career of sales, this is the lesson
Is your
for
strategy.
you. Yes, this is exactly what you do. Let's lay
This
this
is how
out.
to upsell.
I didn't necessarily write this down. He goes in looking for $1,000 dress. They show him first a $3,000 dress. He goes,
and then they come down to a $2,000.
No. This is where, if they would have come down, that would have been too fast.
Mm-hmm.
They have long game. They went from a $3,000 dress
To a $5,000.
Yes, to a $5,000 dress.
And this is the one she wants.
And so then they come back. Well,
twice as much as he wanted.
Twice as much as he wanted, but less than the other two.
And he's thinking, shoot, at least it's not $5,000.
Right. It's brilliant. Right.
Thanks for saving me.
It's right, reprehensible, right,
Yeah.
morally, but
Yes.
look, you're
They
in the
got the
business of making money. So, and Gino's there, and he caved.
And they're going cha-ching,
Yeah,
cha-ching.
I mean, it's what they're doing. They did what
and
they.
everybody walks away happy.
Yeah, I mean,
he thinks that he saved money by spending twice as much, and she is happy because he spent more than he said he would, and that she was worth it. And they're happy because they got $2,000.
Everybody wins except for one person, and who is the loser?
The pocketbook.
Gino. Yes, Gino is the loser. He loses in this one. So.
Yeah.
Gino says she looks like a queen and like a Barbie doll. And all I could think about, it's been a long time since I touched a Barbie doll, but I'm pretty sure a Barbie doll.
The boobs are probably as hard as hers.
It's hard, yeah, probably. I would assume they're that hard, so it's probably good.
It looks so unnatural.
It just does.
But I digress.
She has a dream wedding in her mind. Look, this is funny. Her dream wedding is like an ocean, and she gets Lake Erie is what she gets, right? This is where she is. This is not great. But, so, I mean, they go and look at this venue, and it sounds like she likes the venue. She knows this is what she's going to get, but she's going to be a turd about the whole thing. Because she probably knows that this is where it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't want Gino to think that it's good, so I'm going to tell him it's crappy.
Right.
And that's typical Jasmine. What did you think about this conversation between her and his family?
Well, in the end, it turned out good. I was proud of her for being vulnerable and forthcoming with her emotions without having a meltdown. And I was a little irritated that it took all of them so long to respond.
So they're all the same guy. Right? Maybe it's something, I don't know, would you...
Family trait.
Am I a little slow to get stuff like that? So is it...
No, I mean, not so much now. Maybe when we were younger.
So maybe it's a geographical thing, right? Maybe it's
Where do
people
you get from Michigan?
from southeast
Sensitive
Michigan. It takes us a little while to get stuff. Maybe that's it. Yeah, it's like we were there and waiting and waiting and waiting and going, somebody. Because she's there.
Going, come on.
Because she's there crying.
Crying.
You would have liked Gino to even reach over.
Right.
And put an arm on her.
Teary-eyed like always. He looks like a sappy puppy most of the time when she's sad.
It was just silence.
Uh-huh.
But then they
I'm sure that was a production pause.
Yeah, it probably was just why they were setting up stuff, putting mics on everybody else. They know what they're doing, I guess. But his family kind of piped up and said, hey, look, you're a beautiful woman. Gino's a dork. So,
and we thought, what the heck are you doing with him?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. At all.
Right.
What's a beautiful woman doing with this?
With this butt.
Right, but she comes out and says, I mean, they don't explain it because I don't think you can explain it. I don't get it. Nobody gets it. But she says, you know what? My family's at home. I need an American family. Really, can you be that for me?
Right.
And it looks like at least they've come to an agreement.
Right.
I told you before, I thought that they wouldn't do stuff like during the wedding.
Uh-huh.
Like they wouldn't ruin the wedding.
Right.
So, but they're just not. I mean, what do we have here? I mean, we look at all the dudes here, at least that we're talking about, and they're all just, I don't know, oblivious.
Striking out.
Yeah, because this is Rob and Sophie, right? I mean, look at them.
Yeah, terrible.
I mean, Rob's sitting there. She is bawling.
Mm-hmm.
Completely.
He's so insensitive.
And so what does Rob want? In your
He
opinion?
wants to not say he's sorry. He wants to be right all the time and to stroke his violin in his little personal pity party every day.
I thought it was good that he realized that maybe his social media post maybe
Was
wasn't the
childish.
most mature thing. Except for he
Although
says
19 was a stretch, more like 15.
Yeah, this isn't like even close to an adult at
No.
all. But he's not sorry.
No, he's not. And that's what I said to you. You know why he won't apologize? Because he's not sorry. This is who he is. And she needs to run far, far away.
I think the fact that she's so young is a bit of a problem here.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's kind of stuck and trapped.
Right.
It starts off with him from the beginning. I mean, it's the same kind of Clayton stuff. I bet you and your mom were talking bad about me. What's Sophie supposed to say there? Or is Rob just looking for reassurance? No, Rob, we weren't talking bad about you. I was on your side with my mom. Because he's not going to believe it.
Say.
He didn't believe it.
He wants somebody to stroke his ego all day.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not right all the time.
Right. Woe is me. Boo-hoo-hoo. Everybody hates me.
I'm the victim.
They hate me because I don't have chairs in my apartment. And we have to go sit outside to have an actual conversation because there isn't room for everybody in my place.
Yeah, I said I don't blame them for going outside. I wouldn't want to sit inside and have a conversation either in all that cramped space.
No, we've seen, as they were sitting outside, we've seen his dog. His dog is either a pit or a pit mix of some kind. Mm-hmm. So in this courtyard, while they're sitting there, 2 huskies run by.
You said, look, there's a wolf in the background.
I'm like, what is this? Is it just a petting zoo, or maybe they live? You know what? Well,
I told you I thought it was a shared courtyard and a shared bathroom.
Well, so what it is this is an old restaurant that is now a rental. Legal or not, I don't know, but that's what it is. And so that would kind of make sense that it had like outdoor dining, like it was a kitchen. And then a courtyard that you go eat at, and the bathroom would have been outside because people were eating outside. Maybe after a restaurant, it turned into an animal shelter. Because there's just stray dogs running around. So this means we don't know of other dogs, and he hasn't said they have other dogs. But there are other dogs in the courtyard.
Yeah.
This is a gated courtyard. Where did the dogs come from?
Well, I said all along that I thought that this was a shared courtyard.
There's another rental unit.
Yes, there. Right. That's a big space outside for his little place.
That would be even worse.
Yeah, I think I picture it as being like a Melrose Place kind of setup.
But with an outdoor bathroom.
Yes.
Right. I don't remember any of the characters from... Can you pull out any Melrose Place characters? I don't remember the character names.
I don't remember the character names.
That's too bad. Because it would have been...
I just remember Heather, what's her name, was in there.
Heather Locklear was in there.
Yeah.
Right? And so Andrew something was one of the... He married somebody else. I've seen him recently. But it would have been better. We talk internally in the house about a better bit or a better joke. And the joke would have been to be able to pull 2 Melrose Place characters out, running into each other into the bathroom. Could you imagine, though, being in the bathroom and like you got to wait for the neighbor?
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why she's complaining. She could go out in the middle of the night to go to the loo and open the door and find somebody else out there waiting.
Well, for her, it is the loo.
Right.
So that's it.
It is for me, too.
Yeah, I guess so. I think for me, this reminds me a lot, and I'm not trying to necessarily compare Ed to Rob, because I think they're different. I think Ed's more of a damaging character, right? And dangerous.
Intentionally.
Right.
Yes. Scheming.
I think Rob necessarily isn't so scheming. But like Ed, I think Rob has telegraphed really exactly who he is. Unlike anybody else that we see. You just see that Rob is this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably always going to be this guy.
Yeah. I
And
said it at the beginning. She needs to run away from this guy.
yeah, we don't think she does.
Yeah.
So he's just
I think it's a recurring theme this season. Almost everybody needs to run away from their guy.
Yeah. Who would have thought? Well, gosh, what are we thinking? Gino and Jasmine probably deserve each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Devin and Nick have been gone a long time, so I think that they're probably all right. That's why they disappeared. Because they were just a normal.
About them,
yeah, because they were a normal couple.
Mm-hmm. No drama.
Yeah. So you get kicked to the curb unless you have
drama.
drama.
I forgot all about them.
Yeah.
This season's been long. Is it over yet?
I would assume. So what do we get? Like we get a goodbye from Nikki and Igor next week.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna guess that Sam and Citra get married next week. Clayton and
we're
Annalee get married next
point.
week.
Yeah.
Devin's married. Ashley and Manuel, that's it. So it would be odd. I guess.
Yeah, it should be the wedding episode, and then that's it.
Well, Rob and Sophie. So I would say 2 more weeks.
Ugh.
Is what I would say. Just because there's been really no big mention of Rob and Sophie's wedding. And I can't imagine that they do. We'll get 2 weddings. Yeah, next week we'll probably get Sam and Citra's and Clayton and Annalee's. The following week we'll get Gino and Jasmine. And they'll slide in Ashley and Manuel whenever.
Well, we're up to within 24 hours of Ashley and Manuel's wedding, so I would have thought that would have been next week.
It's possible. They just will cut it out or edit in when they edit it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of funny stuff going on.
No.
Just in general. It's not been just a kind of a funny season. I thought for Rob, and it's this. He's got excuse after excuse after excuse. And here he goes, I'm trying. I'm doing all that I can. It's this kind of stuff that is just like open-ended.
Yeah, and I said he's not doing all that he can because he's not doing anything.
Well, you think he could, I don't know, succeed at something.
Yeah.
At what point is trying just not enough?
Mm-hmm.
It's like him. I recognize, and I don't really care. Remember that I'm watching the Married at First Sight Australia. And we talked about that Taylor. Taylor is the blonde one with the red lipstick, and she just appears to be not interested in the guy.
Right.
She said this to him, to the guy. She said, I see this, what you've said. I recognize this, but I just don't care. And I think that's Rob.
Yeah.
And I can just say that I'm trying.
Yeah, because she's there sincerely crying. You've hurt me. Can't you say you're sorry that you hurt me? And he's just blank faced. He's watching her cry and he has no reaction or response at all.
Well, because what's more important to him?
Who is this person?
Is his importance soothing Sophie or being right?
Oh, he's a right fighter for sure.
And at what point? Because it's the same with Clayton and Annalee. At what point do you go, this is the situation? It sucks and it's bad, but we just have to somehow get past this.
Right.
Or we don't. And Annalee was like, you know what I would like? I would like to discuss this now and have it
and then
be
never bring it up
done.
Again.
I don't know that you could put that edict out. I don't know that you could say we're never to speak of this again. Right.
Well, I think her point is that he's going to badger her about this endlessly until he gets every detail and gets his panties all in a bunch, and it's just going to be a long, drawn-out, torturous thing. And she's like, hey, we're supposed to be getting married tomorrow. Why are we, harping on this? Can we just address it and move on? And he basically says, we can address it another time. And she says, no, I don't want to. I want this to be over.
Mm-hmm.
And then she realizes he's not going to ever do that about anything.
Yep.
He's just going to beat her down all the time about one thing or another. And that's when she realizes, hey, I think I want out. This is not what I want for the rest of my life.
Yeah, if there aren't 5 other reasons, you probably shouldn't be with Clayton.
Right.
I think it was last week when Brandy said, he's always been with Mom. He's always going to be with Mom.
Yeah. I got to tell you, to be honest, there's a real creep factor about him that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I wouldn't want to be within 5 feet of this guy. I can't put my finger on what it is, but there's something really, I don't know.
Just as a woman?
Yes.
Would it be like his...
slimy, almost predatorial about him. Like, maybe he's...
Internet search history would scare you.
Yes, like he's got some skeletons in his closet.
It's
unknown things.
Your woman spider senses.
Yes. There's something icky about this guy that I don't like. And it would make me go the other way.
Just one of those things that you can't really put your finger on.
Right.
But
he's got a real creep factor.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. Sets off my alarm bells.
Something like Paul should have done, you would have hoped, to everybody.
Yes, exactly.
Well, there's a lot of similarities, I think, between...
It's very similar. Yes,
Yep.
It's the same kind of feeling.
I think Paul was probably easier to spot. But we were all, as 90-day people, we were all naive, like when Paul came around. Like we didn't know this was possible, like a Paul. We didn't know Paul was Paul. We didn't know there would be people like Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we've seen people like Paul. It's like we're poisoned now.
And that he could dupe her and recruit her and end up tag teaming in OnlyFans.
Right.
Like how low can you go?
Yeah. And you think Gino would be the creepiest one.
Yeah.
Because we think it's all the dudes. Gino, Robert, Manuel seems to be the most normal person. Devin seems all right too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nikki and Igor, we're not sure. Yeah. And Sam.
Yeah, I just don't think that's real.
Yeah, I get it. And we didn't talk about Ashley and Manuel yet. I tell you, I saw this rental, and they have torn this place up.
It's so messy. How much stuff can you leave on the counter?
It's just back. It was like that same special we saw with the twins. They were getting in. Maybe it was a different episode. I don't know. But I walked in, and they were talking about like raising chickens. And they talked about bacteria getting into chickens. They said because they were so close that they were like scratching each other with their claws, walking on top of each other.
And they create injuries that get infected.
Because they're walking on poop, it gets infected. So all I could think about when I saw this rental was there's just infection everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, it was tore up.
That documentary I was watching that you're talking about, when we turned it off to go watch 90 Day, they were just putting this glow material on some chicken as they gave it to the people to cook. And they were going to turn on a special light after they were done in the kitchen to see how much contact came from the chicken to the surfaces in the kitchen and how the bacteria was spread across the kitchen from this chicken.
Oh.
They coated the chicken in some kind of glow material.
Wow.
That they could put a special light on to see how much cross-contamination would take place while they were making dinner.
You know what happens?
I can't wait to see.
I mean, I think about it like I've been working with, just because of your surgery, and so I've been working with stuff in the kitchen, and the thing I think about is the handle to the faucet. I would assume is the nastiest thing in the kitchen.
Right, and that's why I'm so big on the touchless soap dispensers in the kitchen, in the bathroom, because when are your hands the dirtiest? In the kitchen and the bathroom, and you don't want to touch the soap dispenser. That's gross because you touched it when your hand was dirty.
Mhm.
You know? So, I mean, I want to be able to get clean hands without touching surfaces.
So then I think about, okay, now I'm not like a germaphobe, but then I think
I'm a
about
little bit.
the faucet has got all this stuff on it. And then so I said, I want to go grab the Clorox spray cleaner. But then I go that and I go, well, the handle on
You
the
touch
Clorox.
the trigger while your
yeah,
hand,
so
your
I don't
hand is
know.
dirty.
It's a perpetual thing then.
Yeah, and for me, it's like when I'm cooking and then I have to pick up a spice jar. I got to go like wash my hands because I don't want to deposit, meat germs on the outside of my spice jar when I'm trying to put spices on the meat.
Right.
It's like a perpetual cross-contamination. You just have to constantly be thinking about it.
So their place
That's
is
why I
tore
wipe
up.
everything down.
I looked at Clayton and Annalise's place. It was average to best. But this thing, Ashley and Manuel, it doesn't strike me as they're big cleaners. Like neither
No.
of them.
Mm-mm.
It would just, I
Not
would
bothered
think,
at all by stuff.
yeah, and that, laundry is everywhere, I would think. And, I just think about their place. And it just doesn't strike me as being really such a such a clean place. It was like a bomb went off. But that aside, this conversation that Ashley had with Manuel's mother, I thought was
That was
one
touching.
of one of the best we've seen at that.
Yeah.
And last week,
And we said before that the two of them have grown tremendously in their relationship, their ability to understand each other's perspective and feelings and thoughts since the beginning of this season. They've grown more than anybody.
yeah, because it was like you'd thrown two cats in a bag at the beginning. And everybody's
Right.
they're just scratching at each other. It's just a constant fight. But,
Yep.
the rhythm has happened, and it really seems like they're in a good place.
It does.
I mean, you saw tears from Mom. You saw tears from Ashley. I don't know that we saw tears from Manuel, but we have before. The big fear there is this tropical storm that's coming.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I said to you, well, she should use her witchy powers and cast a
Yeah,
spell
'cause really, what's
to
the
control the
purpose?
weather.
What's the purpose in being a witch?
Yeah, doesn't she have a stone or something she can burn? I don't know.
I don't understand it, but then again, why would you be a witch? What does this get? I guess it doesn't get you anything. You don't get special powers. So then what are you doing?
But she won't shift the time because it has to be as close to full moon as possible.
Wouldn't you go? In this scenario, what do you do? If you're down there, we had a destination wedding, and if we had a destination wedding, nobody would go. Our destination wedding had better go be where somebody from our family is.
Our destination better be somewhere cheap, or we're not going.
West Palm is not the place to go.
No.
It is not.
Let's see. We went from let's see.
How about
our
Surrey,
section of Virginia Beach.
Right?
We went from our section of Virginia Beach to the oceanfront, about 15-minute drive away for our honeymoon. It's about as far as it gets.
Watch Potomac, Real Housewives of Potomac. We could go to Karen's place in Surrey. That would maybe be more our speed.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you do? In this scenario, we're in Florida, right? The storm's coming. What do you do?
You move up the time.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's really a no-brainer. At least
right,
it
you
should
do it in
be
the
a
morning
no-brainer.
instead of at 5:30. You can still have it in daylight. You can still be on the beach, but you get everybody safely off the beach and headed back to their destinations before the storm hits.
Fly north.
That's what you do.
As quickly as possible.
Or you plan a backup plan to do it indoors.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't want to do that because it's not her dream wedding. Well,
Everybody
you
in
can't
these
control the weather. So
these dream weddings.
I know.
I wonder if they lead to like dream divorces. I'd like almost to poll people, right? Who, I don't know, whether it be you find people who got divorced and go, did you have your dream wedding? And then what happened with it? I can tell you, I know my parents, you know where they come, this is not good. So there was, my father's family went to a big Methodist church, St. Paul's Methodist Church on Monroe Street in Monroe. There was a big, like, I guess, cathedral style, place where they had the services. But then they had little places downstairs where they married people who were pregnant. And so there are pictures, and this is what happens, is there are pictures from people getting married upstairs, and then there are pictures of people who got married downstairs. So my mom and dad married
downstairs.
Downstairs. That's how it is.
That is terrible.
Isn't it? I mean, really? I can tell you as a child, right, when my parents got divorced, my grandparents still were at the Methodist church. And we were encouraged as children not to come back to the church. So,
wow.
Right. We were part of the youth group and youth choir. And I was a cute little 6-year-old. That all worked. But no more. We don't want...
Victim of the whole thing.
We don't want to divorce the children of divorce around everybody else. Now, okay. Gosh, look where the Methodist Church is now. This is not a church podcast, so we're not going to do that. So it looks like, though, Nikki's leaving. Really, this may be one of the first non-weddings that we get.
Yeah, they don't get married.
But they're not even...
They just had an engagement party, and that's it.
Why are there's many reasons. One, we don't think this relationship is real.
No.
2, this isn't 90 Day. I'm guessing that they had an opening and stuck them in, because isn't this kind of the other way?
Well, not necessarily the other way, but like a pre.
This is B90.
Before 90.
This is what this is.
This is a B90.
And they didn't have room for them in the B90. I'm guessing. We talked about in our personal podcast, in the Inside Scoop, kind of the time frame of many of these couples. And I don't think it's a big scoop to say it, but Ashley and Manuel were recorded in fall of 22. So what we're looking at now is September of 2022.
It's more than a year old.
Yeah, almost a year and a half.
Pushing a year and a half.
Same thing with Gino and Jasmine. It's that old. There's talk that, even though it's hard to confirm, Robert and Sophie are that old also. So this just goes and goes and goes. It's
hard for me to fathom how all these people have kept their relationships quiet for that period of time.
Because it's slipped out. You can go and dig, and we've talked about it on Inside Scoop. So we've known for a healthy amount of time which of these couples are and aren't currently married, right?
Right.
But it's not been 6 months that we've known.
Right.
So they've done a relatively good job.
Yeah. I'll sign those NDAs.
Yeah, I guess it's working. But man, wouldn't that be hard to keep your relationship just under wraps?
That's what I mean. Because it's, just your private life. It means you can't advertise to friends and family. You can't use social media in reference to your relationship in any way. That would be really hard to share nothing for a year or a year and a half.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So
you'd feel almost isolated, I would think.
I think we've got HEA. It was sometime in mid-March was starting. So I think 2 more episodes of this, 3 tell-alls, and it's probably about the time. So it would be the second week of March would maybe make sense, mid-March. So 5 more weeks of dealing with these knuckleheads. So, but
I think it's gone on a bit long, personally.
Well, it's only 16 episodes. We had the 2-week break around Christmas, But
I mean, there just hasn't been that much to their storylines. It's just been stretched out. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you can go week to week and learn nothing new. It's just more of the same.
Yeah, Rob and Sophie. I mean, you just go down
Right.
the list.
It's the same thing every week. Yeah.
I think Ashley and Manuel have grown. There's that.
Yes. Yeah. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you're right. But HEA's, I think HEA's better suited for us. I don't know that it's a better show, but for us, there are couples and relationships, and they're at least at this point maybe a bit more real.
Going through real stuff.
Yeah, versus whatever this is. Mm-hmm. Although, I mean, I would like to see Clayton, Annalie, and Mom. Right, more of that interaction could be fun. I think Brandy, that whole group, right? When you talk about, you know what?
She's something else, isn't she?
I need a new, like, family Chantel. How about a family Clayton?
Oh, my gosh.
Because we get Brandy, we get Mom.
Looking at Brandy, I mean, I think she's the real deal. I think what she's shown herself to be on the show is just her. I think she's just inebriated, getting through life, partying, I don't have much else going on kind of person. And as bizarre as Clayton and his mom are, and this is the family she came from, just tells me she probably got this way as a means of escape from her upbringing.
So she's real. You know, it's like it's the draw of like Single Life Courtney. It's a real person.
Right.
It's not fake, right?
Right. Right. And her parents seem so nice.
Right. And so I would love more Clayton and Brandy and Mom. I want this. I want Thanksgiving. I want Thanksgiving dinner with.
I think Closet Mom is not so meek and mild.
No,
I think she's a pistol.
So she reminds me, and it's a little bit in appearance too, but a bit like Mike. Washington Mike.
Yes.
A bit like her. She got a little snippy in the car, and it reminded me of his mom.
Yep. I think she tried to present herself as meek and mild in the beginning, but she's not that person.
No,
I think she's probably pretty manipulative.
It was why we still think there's an outside chance that Mike's mom, called Natalie the name,
Yes.
There's still a chance. I want it to be true.
I still think it's definitely in her wheelhouse of things to have done.
I mean, obviously, they're still making it up, right?
Right, and Natalie's crazy, so you can't believe anything she says.
Right, it would be...
But if you were going to make something up, this would be believable.
Right,
100%.
It would be like that Harrison from Married at First Sight, Australia.
Show.
He's just making up stuff. But
deflecting.
He makes up stuff that you go, that's possible. And so he knows that. It's like Natalie making up Hookergate.
Stir in the pot. Mm-hmm.
It's possible, right? And I still want to believe it because I think it's better. So we digress. We will get back. We have this week 1,000 Pound Sisters. I think this is the finale. Although we had trouble finding Life After Lockup, I think it's there. So I think there's still another Life After Lockup. And so there's that, and we'll do an inside scoop.
I didn't see it. I'll have to look again.
Yeah, my paperwork says there's one more. So we shall see. We hope that you have a good week. Things are looking a little better for us. Although what I hear is we're in opposite rooms because of a computer issue. But like you said earlier, our dog, our old dog, is very active out there. So
yes, I hear her licking her lips outside my door right now as we speak.
Something's happened.
She's pacing for a reason.
So I have a feeling it's 15 minutes before I start editing. Maybe it'll be a later night than I thought. So we will see.
Thank you for listening.
You can listen to additional episodes
By subscribing to our Coupled with Chaos channel on Apple.
by subscribing to our Patreon
Or by subscribing to our Supercast,
for $3.99 a month.
where you can hear us talk about reality shows,
Real life and more on our podcasts.
covering shows airing on TLC, A&E, Bravo, and the WE Network.
Just follow the instructions in the show notes
Tell your friends about this podcast.
and rate and review us on your favorite podcast player.
Follow us at Coupled with Chaos on all the socials.
Or contact us directly by email at coupledwithchaos@gmail.com.